You're gonna have to be nice and mean to achieve your dream. Welcome to another episode of Self-Employed Success Secrets, Saturday edition, weekend edition. On today's episode, we're gonna talk about the dual attributes you're going to have to show to get the financial freedom you're looking for, the time freedom you're looking for, the mental freedom you're looking for. Okay. That comes with being self-employed. Okay. Now, the point of every video is to solve a problem. Okay. The problem is when should I be nice? The problem that's being solved is when should I be nice and when should I be mean? And we'll talk about that as we get into the video. But first, let's talk about this channel. This channel is dedicated to helping you watching this to be successfully self-employed so that you can have a really good life. Okay, the freedom, the accessibility of funds, future funds, the ability to choose who you work with is amazing when you're self-employed. Now, it has its problems, as anything does, but if you watch this channel and take these videos to heart and try to learn it, it'll help you, okay? And this is a episode that is just based on a tip. So we talk about tips, tricks, and techniques, the tip episode. So one of the tips is you've got to be both nice and mean to achieve your dream. So what do we mean by that? Okay. Let's start with the bad news, being mean. And now you're not so much, when we say being mean, you're not so much being rude or intransigent or insubordinate or belligerent. That's not what we're talking about. When we say mean, what we mean is putting up boundaries, saying this is the line in the sand. Everything is all good until you cross it. Okay. And the thing is, when you're self-employed, these people are going to test you. I just had someone on Friday. They were like, we want more time. We want you to put more time into this. And the response was no. The line is X, Y, and Z. They didn't like it, but it's like, hey, you have to protect yourself. Okay. But the problem with being mean is that the frequency of it. It's okay to be mean from time to time, but if you're mean all the time, you're not going to have people that like you. They're not going to want to work with you. You're not going to have any money. You're not going to have any happiness. You're not going to be able to do anything. So you've got to balance it with being nice. And when we say being nice, it means being flexible. It means being amenable to what they're saying. If they're like, hey, can you do X, Y, and Z? It's welcoming. It's volunteering for new work. It's trying to see things and give people what they want. Not so much acquiescing to them, but more just being compliant with what they want. And knowing that you're ultimately there for them and the only benefit you receive is the money. Everything is about them except for you getting paid what you deserve. So just keep that in mind as you're working, is that you're going to have to go on this seesaw of nice and mean all the time to reach your dream, okay? Because if you don't set boundaries, you're not going to have the time to get things done, and you'll be burnt out and you'll feel dead inside because you know you're killing part of yourself to please somebody else who doesn't really care about you, just has their own selfish, ends. But if you're too nice, basically if you're not mean enough, hold on, let me step back a second. If you're not mean, you're not going to have any boundaries and people are going to overstep them. If you're too nice, you're going to get disrespected and you're going to get burnt out because you didn't have those boundaries in place. So the key is to be nice and to be mean. The way you do this is to go off your intuition. You need to know circumstantially, based on what is placed in your hand, whether do I be nice or do I be mean? Like, for example, there's a client I work with. I go into their store. I work exactly 2 hours. I'm mean. I will not go over 120 minutes of working there. So if I get there at 12:02, I work till 2:03, exactly 2 hours. I'm fucking gone. Respectably ruthless. But I'm nice in that situation when they're like, hey, can you do X, Y, and Z? Can you expedite this? Can you get this? I'm saying yes to everything. Because they need me to do X, Y, and Z. I'll sit there and listen to their problems. I'll sit there and try to give them exactly what they want. That's what's called being nice, but I will not stay longer than 2 hours. And you've got to go back and forth. Like I said, if you're too nice, they'll walk all over you. If you're too mean, they will never talk to you. So you've got to be able to handle both and be situationally aware of when to do each one. This is probably the hardest part, is knowing when to do it. Okay? And the part when to do it is that when they start infringing on your life in a negative way outside the scope of the work. I'm going to say that again. You know when to kind of pull the curtain back when they start infringing on your life in a way that negatively impacts you, that's outside of the scope of the work, which means that they're hurting you and has nothing to do with your job. It's when they're talking 45 minutes to you about their problems and you're like, I have to get out of here. I'll listen for a few minutes. I'll really empathize and get to the main point, the thesis of what you're saying, but it's like I can't sit there and just be a sounding board for you outside of the job, because that's not what I'm here for. Okay? Obviously, you don't say that, but it's like you have to imply that. Okay? But you got to be nice. You got to be mean. Being nice is being just complicit, happy, genial with them. That's a big word, is being genial with them, but you just have to use your intuition to know when to be nice and when to be mean, and this is all to help you achieve your dream. Okay? Like a good example of being nice is someone's like, hey, can you come into the office next week and let's just talk? And you're like, I don't want to, but I need to for their sake. And you got to see the bigger picture when you do these things. But if someone's like, hey, can you do this work for free because I'm struggling? That's a situational thing, but a lot of times you're gonna have to be mean and say no, you're gonna have to pay something. And this is one thing I learned being self-employed, is that when I first started, I would meet with people and we would have like initial consultations, right? And they'd ask all these questions that are valuable. It took me time and energy and effort to get and gain this information, and then they would run off and I'd never hear from them again. This happened over and over and over again. I'm like, I didn't set any boundaries. I wasn't being mean enough. So what I did, remember, you have to always learn new approaches, improved methods, always. You got to learn. What I learned in that situation was I'm going to charge a $100 consultation fee. Now, some people are going to say no to that, but a lot more people have said yes than no. Like, if you want to talk to me, it's $100, man. It's $100, lady. So that way they get value, I get value. I can go buy something with that money instead of just feeling like I spent money to come here, I spent money to go home, and they never called me back. It's because I wasn't mean enough. Okay? And there have been times when I've been kind of mean to people I want to work with, and I've been too nice. You can be too nice to where you just give too much information away, and people are just like, what are you doing? Where you have so much value they can do it on their own, you give it to them for free. You're being too nice. Okay? But you got to be nice and you got to be mean to achieve your dream. Keep that in mind.